everyone, it's Shel from Paper Rock TO Studio, and today I'm showing you another traveling art journal. I thought I'd do a really quick flip through at the beginning so that you could see art that other people have done in this journal, and it arrived at my house, and then I'll be mailing it off to Germany next. So these are getting pretty full. This is a year-long project with Canvas Corp Brands creative crew. So I picked a page, which is the next page in the journal, and then I taped around all the edges to try to protect the other pages in the book. And then I wanted to add a lot of texture to this page, so I started with that same masking tape that I was using for taping everything and just putting it on in strips. This creates just kind of some interesting textures in the background that will hopefully show up when I start to put color on. I also taped the center of the book. This is a stitched journal, meaning that she stitched the pages together with her machine, and so I noticed that seepage is happening in the inside of the book. So I wanted to try to seal everything and tape everything and make sure that none of the liquid that I used on it was going to seep onto someone else's page. So once I had my tape down, I used some clear gesso from Liquitex to further seal everything. This is watercolor paper that has been tea dyed, according to what it says in the front of the book. Excuse me. So I just wanted to get everything sealed up before I went to my next step, which is to add some more texture. I wanted to do a fall page. It's almost the first day of fall in a couple days when I made this, obviously not when you see it, but when I made it. And I just wanted to add some type of natural elements. So I have a few new stencils that I got from Tuesday morning. And this one is supposed to be sticky on the back. It's kind of a weird stencil. You're supposed to be able to stick it to something, and what they had shown was like decorating terracotta pots and stuff like that with it. It wasn't really that sticky, so I don't know, but I got 3 of them and they're interesting designs, so I'm using a couple of them. This one has I think this is supposed to be stems, but I just thought it looked kind of like interesting wavy lines. I'm using golden light molding paste. This is a texture paste to go through the stencils, and it makes it feel raised, and this stuff dries really quickly, and that's the reason that I use it. There's a lot of different texture pastes and molding pastes and modeling pastes and all kinds of stuff out there for you to choose from. You can even make your own. There's recipes on Pinterest and things, but I like this one because whatever it's made out of, it dries very quickly. And you know, I'm super impatient. So then this is a leaf stencil that I've had for a long time. Not sure what brand it is. I'll have to look it up. I'll try to look up all the brands of things that I used and put them in the description box below, as well as, of course, the Canvas Corp Brands products that I'm using. This is part of a design team project, so it is intended to highlight Canvas Corp brand products mostly. Of course, you can't just use one thing. So this paper is a piece of deli paper that I made by spreading crackle paste from DecoArt. You know, crackle paste take a really long time to dry, and if you force the drying by using a heat tool, it creates smaller cracks, and I like the bigger, more interesting cracks. And so I did an experiment. I spread some of it on deli paper and let it dry naturally, and then I figured I could just tear the pieces off and apply them to things where I could have crackle. It doesn't look exactly the same, but it was a good idea, and it worked. It didn't peel off the paper. I thought maybe, you know, it would just like flake right off the paper, but it worked fine. So I'll be continuing to use that every once in a while. I'll have a whole sheet of it there. So I'm attaching this using a gel matte medium at this point. The gel is thicker and is better for sticking on this type of thicker stuff, heavier stuff. So there I got instant areas of crackle texture without putting the crackle paste on the page. I was happy about that. So then I wanted even a little bit more texture, and so I decided to use my fine liner, which has white, titanium white acrylic paint in it. And I've noticed when I've used the fine liner bottle that it gives a raised texture because you're not spreading it, you're oozing it out of a needle. And so I thought, oh, that'll be cool. I'll have these curly textures. What I didn't think about, and what you'll see when I start to do the next step, is that white acrylic paint is plasticky, shiny, and resistant. So what I should have done, learn from what I should have done and not what I did. I mean, it turned out fine, but it wasn't what I was intending. I was intending for this to be texture. So I should have done another coat of gesso over the top in order to give this shiny, plasticky stuff something to have color adhere to instead of it just, going right off like plastic. I mean, if you put a water-based something over a piece of plastic, it's just going to wash off, right? So, yeah. Should have put another coat of gesso, but I didn't. So as you can see, as I'm spraying the glimmer mist, and that's what I'm using is Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist, and I'm writing the colors. The first one is Butternut Squash. The next one is Dijon. These have mica in them. They're water-based mist with mica flakes, teeny tiny little shiny bits, and that's how come they're called Glimmer Mist. As I spray them on there, the white, titanium white, continues to really show while the other bits of my texture fade into the background. And that's because the color's not really sticking to that acrylic paint. It's just running right off of it because it's too plasticky. So that's where a layer of gesso would have really helped my project. But I still like the way it turned out. It's really beautiful, so I'm not worried about it. I did not think about that when I went to add texture in that way. So the next color was a glaze, or I guess I sprayed on some Craft, which is a brown glimmer mist, and then the next one is Adobe, and that's glimmer glaze, so it's a heavier, thicker stuff without a spray. So you apply that with a brush or something like that, or pour it on or whatever. And then my next one is Olive Vine, which is a glimmer mist, and I wanted it to only be on these ferns at first, so I'm applying it with a brush instead of using the sprayer because the sprayer will just splatter it everywhere. So I wanted a more precise application. In fact, I should do all of my application of mists with a brush. It makes a lot more sense. I did use a little bit of water in a tiny mini mister to just kind of spread that just a little bit. And then, of course, I always like to add splatters by using the straw on the inside of the mist bottles because they're flexible, so they make a really good splatter. Works really great. So then I wanted some even darker splatters on here, and so I'm using the Cowboy Glimmer Glaze, which is a darker brown with mica in it. And I'm just splattering that using a small paintbrush. Going a little bit crazy with the splatters, but I really like splatters. And then my last splatters are titanium white paint because I still had a lot of white on my page because of my swirly things that I drew with my fine liner pen. So I wanted to kind of add a little bit more white so that it's spread out a little bit more. So that was also with a small brush. Again, giving everything a really good dry at this point. Then I'm taking off my tape around the edges. It didn't seal 100%, but definitely nothing that I put on here, all this wet media, went on any other pages, so I'm happy about that. So next I got out this piece of mixed media origins paper from Canvas Corp Brands, and this one is called Harvest Moon, 12 by 12 piece. This paper has really got an interesting texture. It's almost like cloth. It feels like cloth, and It's very absorbent. I've been hoarding this paper because it has this beautiful sunflower, big sunflower on the back that I really, really love. And then on this side it has these leaves, and I decided to just go ahead and use it. Stop hoarding this stuff, you know. Till when are you going to use it? So I decided to just go ahead and cut it up, cut out a few of the different leaves, and apply these to my page. So I cut out some of the oak leaves, and then this other one. Not sure which leaves they are, but anyway, I liked them, so I cut them out. When I cut things out, like when I cut stamped images and things out, I usually leave a white border around the edge. I think it gives you some leeway to not be so perfect when you're fussy cutting. And I kind of enjoy the way it looks over this darker background to have that little white area around the edge. And I'm using the same colors. I haven't added any more colors of products to this. I'm just using the same ones I already had out with a brush, and just adding a bit of color, not leaving them completely white, or I guess more like maybe an ivory. It's not ivory. It's still white. It's just not pure white on this paper, but adding just a touch of colors to the leaves and the little acorns. And I think that looks pretty. Then once that's dry, I glue it down, and because everything is so textured on there, I decided to glue it down with tacky glue, Aleene's tacky glue, just to make sure that everything is stuck on there. I didn't want to do like more, I would have needed to use my gel matte medium because it's thicker paper, thicker glue, and then that would have matte down the glimmeriness of the page because it is matte medium. I don't have any thick medium that's glossy because the jar is empty, so I went ahead and just used glue. Plus also because the products that I colored with are water soluble, I would have got a little bit of smearing had I went over it and did decoupage style of gluing it on the bottom and gluing it on the top. So then I wanted some words, and this Gypsy Moments pad has a sheet that has all different words on it, and these little scraps are from that. So I was just showing you that. I just keep them around and cut the words out as I need them. It's kind of like having a sheet of poetry words or whatever. Then the stickers are very inexpensive stickers that I found from Tuesday morning sometime, I think. I think the whole pack of them cost like 99 cents. They're cheap. But I wanted to write the word autumn, and this was what I found to use. I was looking for chipboard letters, but I didn't have the right letters. I've run out of some of the letters in my chipboard, so I'm just using these letter stickers. I didn't have any of the smaller ones that were all the way cut out. They are just done in little squares. I figured it looked fine. It actually makes them show up on the page a little bit better, I think, than if they were tiny cut out pieces. So that's what I went with, and I'm sticking those down with gloss Collage Page. Remember, we were talking about needing to use a glossy medium as opposed to a matte medium. I know I harp on that a lot, but I think people get confused because they watch all these mixed media videos and, oh, here's how you art journal or whatever, and everyone keeps talking about matte medium constantly. And I'm going to use my matte medium, but nobody really explains what that means. So I try to explain it so that you know that really you do need a couple different types of mediums depending on if you want to do shimmery stuff or not. Generally, I want matte stuff when I'm doing collage and things like that, but there are times when I want something shimmery on my project and I really cannot dull it down with a matte medium. So yeah, off my soapbox. Crazy about that. So this little tool is a pickup tool. I was using tweezers and I thought, I don't like these tweezers. I want to use my pickup tool. This thing is from, I think, Silhouette. You know, the cutting machine, but it really works great for picking up stuff. little sequins and beads and all kinds of stuff. It's great. So I'll put a link to that in the description box below as well if I remember. And then my final touch is this is a Sharpie water-based gold metallic pen. You know, they have the paint-based and the water-based. I prefer the non-stinky water-based ones. This is has a very fine point, and it's a gold metallic, and I'm just drawing around things with that. And then I'm also going to use a very fine tip black pen, which is a micron pen, to just go around those little letters and sign my name. So if you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment so I know you were here, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on your notifications if you really want to know that I made a video, and also share if you would like to. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.